Section 28. Many people regard the current compulsory education system as being obsolete. Many people encouraged me to fulfill my ambitions. To make his dreams come true, he dropped out of school and made his way to Tokyo. What do you do?
I'm a college student, a freshman at Harvard.
What's your major?
Philosophy.
Tuition will be raised by nearly 10% as of April 1, 2001. I am of two minds whether to apply for the scholarship or not.
Give it a try.
As soon as he graduated from Keio University, he took over his family's business. You aren't cut out for the military because of its rigid discipline. I am determined to make a living as a playwright at all costs. As he grew up, he learned to put things in perspective. Conformity is an essential element of our homogeneous community.
I'd rather go my own way than toil away for a company. Trying to fit into a mold gets me nowhere.
Tom takes after his uncle in personality. I mean, he is obstinate by nature. He never gives in.
Section 29. When the time is ripe, be bold and go for it. I'll stand by you. I'll stand up for what I believe in and won't yield to any threats. If only I could conquer my weaknesses.
It's up to you.
You should make the most of this rare opportunity to demonstrate your talent. You won't let me down. I have great faith in you. You can make it. The spectators were moved by her graceful performance. In 1995, Ando received architecture's most prestigious award. In the face of adversity, Mike accomplished an extraordinary feat. He deserves praise. The audience was impressed by his eloquent lecture. From a humble background, John achieved worldwide fame. He accumulated a tremendous fortune during the post-war era. He used to be well off and generous, but now he lives from hand to mouth.
Section 30. Nick is by no means satisfied with the reward. He is selfish and greedy. You owe me $200 altogether, Bob. When are you going to pay me back?
I'm sorry, I'm hard up.
There you go again. To Brian's surprise, his debt amounted to a considerable sum. Stop clinging to your glory days, or you'll be left behind. You cannot escape from today's harsh realities, so you must adapt to them. Prosperity does not last forever. In other words, it will come to an end one of these days. Proper qualifications are required for the position. Computer literacy is a must. Enclose your resume in this envelope and submit it to the personnel department. It's optimistic of you to believe that things will work out. At best, there's a 50-50 chance. Registration forms can be obtained free of charge. Please give us a call now if you want to participate in the workshop. For further inquiries, please feel free to contact us toll-free at 1-800-555-1212.
Section 31.
How's it going, Bob?
Couldn't be better. I did well in my job interview.
Good for you.
He gave instructions to the trainees, but they couldn't make heads or tails of them. You can't do two things at one time. It's out of the question. Do them one by one. Bob, don't disturb her. Mind your own business, he whispered. If you persist in bothering her like that, she'll lose her temper. He was so childish that he couldn't resist temptation. Stop making a fuss. It really gets on my nerves, she shouted. There's no point in talking back to Nick. He is a dictator, so to speak. They are very polite in his presence, but actually, they always talk about him behind his back. You despise Nick, don't you?
On the contrary, I look up to him.
His constant insults aroused her anger.
I'm fed up with just shuffling papers and pouring coffee. I've made up my mind to quit.
In reality, many people have difficulty making ends meet. How can you get by on 100,000 yen a month? Female clerks may well complain about their routines, which are not challenging at all. Thanks to a fundamental restructuring, our surplus has swelled threefold. Many people today think of loyalty to a company as an absurd notion. I have to commute all the way from a distant suburb. I'm sick of it.
Section 32. I want to spend the rest of my life pursuing my ideals. After retirement, Teresa devoted herself to caring for orphans. For the sake of children in need, we cooperated to collect donations. The charity is named after a man who gave away some 2 billion yen. His autobiography was released today and was sold out by noon. Ted, who is often referred to as a man of integrity, is going to run for mayor. The candidate was disappointed by the outcome of the election. The municipal council should concentrate more on specific issues. It is the case that those who live on a pension are forced to lead a hard life. We should leave out this data. It's far from accurate.
Section 33. We tend to associate politicians with hypocrisy. They are primarily concerned with exploiting us, not with enhancing our living standards. The man once exerted a dominant influence on the Conservative Party, but now his power is diminishing. The spokesperson refused to make any comment, saying it's under investigation. The police say there's someone pulling strings behind the scenes. The executives entertain the bureaucrats at ryotei, or exclusive Japanese restaurants, hoping for something in return. His secretary flatly denied leaking any confidential information. No one dares to contradict his or her employer for fear of being fired. He sacrificed his promising career to retain his dignity. I might as well kill myself as reconcile myself to my fate. He was about to commit suicide by swallowing poison when he thought better of it.
Section 34. The vague rumor proved to be false. Nevertheless, some skepticism lingers on. A senior official is suspected of accepting bribes from a company, but there isn't sufficient evidence to arrest him. Jason, who was in charge of the project, was dismissed for corruption. To my knowledge, he has not been involved in the fraud scheme. They found out the truth while examining a pile of relevant documents. During the trial, it came to light that they had been covering up illegal transactions for decades. The detective took down his testimony on the spot, word for word. For the first time in my life, I felt a pang of conscience, but there was no other way out. I'm still haunted by a vivid nightmare I had last night. By and large, reporters don't hesitate to intrude on one's privacy. The author revised his manuscript over and over again. He is second to none when it comes to finding fault with others. On the whole, the elite are not sensitive to criticism. When a tabloid revealed that he was a drug addict, his reputation was all but ruined. They considered every aspect of the defense program, and pointed out numerous flaws.
Section 35. We will not tolerate anyone who engages in terrorism. The notorious rebel was ultimately captured and confined to jail. Troops were swiftly called in to put down the riot. We should appeal to reason instead of resorting to violence. I suggest we adopt flexible tactics for the moment. The armed forces succeeded in occupying the entire territory. Under the circumstances, the enemy has no choice but to surrender. They can't hold out any longer. Sooner or later, the hostages will be set free. Under the reign of tyranny, innocent people were deprived of their citizenship. Some soldiers were reluctant to obey the commands. His regime is bound to collapse. The Allies condemned the invasion as a violation of UN resolutions. We cannot rule out the possibility that civil war will break out in that country. The colony declared independence and became a republic.
Section 36. An immense monument was erected in honor of the noble patriot. He got down on his knees and prayed for the souls of the deceased. The Supreme Court is located near the Imperial Palace. The pro-choice group protested against the ban on abortion. Senator Ford remained neutral in the bitter controversy. Ford has been in a difficult situation all week long. He is no longer capable of coping with it. The summit talks are to be broadcast simultaneously throughout the world. Diplomatic dialogue helped put an end to the conflict. Johnson was appointed as a goodwill ambassador to foster mutual understanding between the two nations. The specialist predicts international tension will build up. In my opinion, permanent peace is nothing but an illusion. Ethnic minorities struggle against prejudice, poverty, and oppression. We must make every effort to do away with all discrimination. The immigrants have endured physical and mental pain. The amendment was rejected because it didn't take racial diversity into account. Needless to say, the refugees were longing for freedom.